We would like to welcome everybody to our board meeting tonight, Nicholas County regular board meeting. And so Dr. Tetrick is under the weather, so Dr. Lee is filling in this evening, so that's why she's here. But at this time, if you'd stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Join the board with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business is to approve the minutes of the meetings held on February 20th, 2023.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the minutes for the meeting held on February the 20th, 2023.
Have a motion by Dr. Penix. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? A second by Mr. Berry. Motion by Dr. Penix, second by Mr. Berry. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, at this time, I believe we have, do we just have one delegation?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and move delegations up so that they don't have to sit here that whole time. So at this time, if you are the delegation, if you'll come to the podium and introduce yourself. And once you introduce yourself, you have 3 minutes. And tell us where you're from.
My name is Desiree Gross. I'm from Eddy, West Virginia. I'm here this evening to discuss the current cell phone policy that's being implemented most strictly at Summersville Middle School. That's where my youngest child attends. I really didn't have any issues with this until Thursday. An incident occurred involving my youngest son that kind of brought light to the policy that's being implemented. So I don't disagree that the kids shouldn't have their cell phones during class time. They're there to learn, it should be put away. I have no issue with that. My son apparently had his phone out and it was taken. I 100% agree with that. He did something wrong. He should have had his phone taken away. The issue came with, now it's being implemented that when your phone is taken away, it is to stay at the school until a parent can come and sign to pick it up during school hours. My husband and I both worked with, like many other parents. So this particular day, Caden had a change in his schedule. A student told him that wrestling practice was changed to later in the evening. The buses had already left. He was running to catch his brother. His brother drives to the high school. His brother didn't know that he was coming because he thought he was supposed to stay for wrestling practice. Luckily, he called his brother, and his brother brought him to me, and Caden told me what happened. So then all these scenarios kind of ran through my head. If he goes home, we don't have a landline. I don't know many people that have landlines anymore. If he would have went straight home, he's home for about 2 hours before me or my husband make it home. He has no way of contacting anyone. If he had an emergency, calling 911. We live out in the middle of nowhere. I have no neighbors within a rock's throw. So that was my biggest issue is I don't understand why the phone was taken away at the end of the day, why it's not giving back to the children. I think that it's a big safety issue. Just like if he hadn't made it to his brother and he'd been left at the school. Or had he rode the bus home, and when I got off work, I would have went to the school expecting to pick him up from practice. We have Life 360 on our phones. That's where his phone told me he would have been at. I would have been in pure panic had I showed up to the school and he didn't come out of practice. I had no way of knowing he would have been home. So I would like for the board to discuss that and maybe change that or come up with a more creative way of, I know the cell phones are an issue, but Mason has several teachers at the high school. When they walk into the classroom, they dump their cell phones in a basket. When they leave the classroom, they get their cell phones back. I feel like we could do something else like that, but I don't feel like that the phone should be kept overnight from the child just for instances like this. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, we can't discuss it.
You can ask me questions either.
Anybody have a question?
This is clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, all right, we will take it under consideration. We can't make any decisions on that tonight, but anyway. All right. So, number 4 is discussion, 2023-24 school calendar. Tammy Gregory.
Okay, I had placed on your all's seats the vote of the calendar for this year. It wasn't even close. Option 2 was the one that won out. And I have to bring it before you all, and we have to take questions if there are any. I'm required by the state to do that for this board meeting and the board meeting on the 20th. Roy, I have a copy for you.
So the opening day for teachers is August the 17th
Yes,
for this one.
yes.
And schools will be closed June the 4th, with the last day for students on the 29th of May, correct?
Correct. No, last day is 5/31.
Okay, the PS is a,
That's faculty senate. I have to write that in with my pen, and that, because it on my computer, it shows up great, because this is a site I have to work on the state site, and it's not something I can save to my computer and work on in a PDF form or anything like that. So after I print it out, I try to make sure those letters are clear.
and I guess the PS and the PL days can be used for making up snow days if we have to make them up.
You can't take a PL day for any reason other than professional learning.
So the last day possibly for kids would be that, if we had to make a day up, would be on the 30th of May.
On the what?
Looks like the 30th of May. Maybe you can, I guess you can take a planning day.
Well, the planning day is June 1st.
Right.
No,
June
3rd. June 3rd. And the PL day is the Friday before that. And so faculty senate would be half day for students that day.
The OS day, though, can be taken.
Yes.
You
So-
have to slide
Just
it
like
before.
that. Yeah, right.
So, in particular reason that OS day, well, hopefully we wouldn't have to get that far, but wouldn't it not? I'm going to ask you something. I used to be on the calendar committee.
I know.
Would it not have been better to have that last OS day before?
Before.
Have it on the 30th and everything else slide to the right, is what you're saying?
Well, on the calendar, they automatically populate at that way. So when I'm working on that, I have to manipulate things a little bit. And so the different calendars I had 3 different calendars that folks had to vote on, and had out their options to vote on. So I just changed it up a little bit as I could.
I'm just saying, if
Well,
they,
it could.
if they'd have to make a day up, if they'd have to make 6 days up or whatever, if you had to take all the OS days, which that happens some years, Your
It
last,
hasn't happened in a long time,
I know.
but we used to typically,
We're-
we averaged 16 snow days a
we're
year.
due. But I was just thinking, it'd be really bad if kids would have to come after that planning day and after, you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But,
Well, they wouldn't. The planning day could get knocked backwards.
Switched around.
Yeah. Yeah, the superintendent has leeway to alter if we need to, so those kind of things can be flipped.
okay. She has up till certain day to do that, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
What's the last day for students? Last day for students?
31st of May.
31st.
It's written there on the side left, but it's so tiny. See, right there.
Oh.
But it's very tiny.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you. That's what I get most calls on.
Well, a lot of teachers approach me, and some have said, I would much prefer to go longer in June, because June is kind of rainy, and August is so great in West Virginia, so I'd like to start late as we can in August. So I had a late start calendar. And then others say, after the testing is over, kids are finished, can we stop as close to Memorial Day as possible? So, I made a calendar
Yeah.
like that. So it's just,
Mhm.
I'm really having a hard time pleasing anybody these days.
No, it's always okay. And as long as they're aware that the OS days, their spring break could
Mhm.
be taken.
Possibly. But see, another thing too, the past few years, well, 2 years ago, the governor said we would start after, it was September 8th is when we started, and that was mandated to us. So then, last year, they asked to stop, have an end date by June 1st, so for construction stuff. And I think that's the way it's going to be for several years, really. But, and one thing I'd like you folks to be thinking about is, I also have to work on this calendar to send to the printer. And so we have LSIC days, and all of the board meeting days are put in the calendars first and third Mondays, except in April, and then it's the Tuesday. But I'll be coming before you again on the 20th, so if you all could maybe talk and decide what month you want to do the LSIC, or if you want it to be just the same as this year was, I need to know that.
Now, between now and the 20th, you take this to the state?
Well, what happens is I have to wait till the 20th, and then it'll be we'll do this again, and then it will be an action item, and you'll vote on it, and then I can let the state have it. And then they have to approve it, so I think they will, but
The LSIC, for the last few years, they've been pretty much on the same dates, right?
well, during the same months.
Is everybody, you want her to give us the dates, or do we want to give her the dates? It's usually in between our other meetings, so.
Right. So you just want me to kind of, I can do it this way, because before I send it to the printer, I would show all of you all first.
Yeah, you come up with present it to us, and then we'll.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Discussion, item B. Discussion on superintendent's goals that relate to school performance, student outcomes, and our academics. We have with us 3 schools tonight, 3 to 5 minute report. Ways you're addressing the low performance, how your school's working to increase attendance rates, frequency of principal presence in the classroom, and so we have Panther Creek, Summersville, and Golly River. Dr. Lee, do you?
I don't really have anything right off. Last time, Dr. Tetrick showed you guys the growth snapshots, and of course, all our schools are having pretty good growth, and these guys can tell you the details on it.
Okay, so
Beaver Creek's first.
Panther Creek is first.
Yes.
Come on in.
While we're waiting for her to get set, I'd like to ask Mrs. Atkins if she would print off a copy of that, of our cell phone policy. I'd like to look at it. I mean, I know you can go online, probably try to just print off a copy. I mean, I'm just like, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be,
Yeah, absolutely.
Ruby.
Guys ready?
yes, we are. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I'm just talking about the ways that I'm addressing low areas of performance. Based off of our IXL data and then our CIAs, we definitely had some gaps in reading and math that we're going to focus on. Starting next week, we're working on 3 through 5 grade levels. We're going to tutor Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Just trying to fill in some gaps from COVID. Reading score last year was really low. It was around a 3%. It's a little better this year, going into 4th grade. We had a really good CIA score in that grade. But we're still working on just filling the gaps from COVID that we see. IXL's doing really well. We have about 1 million questions answered in our school. That's really high, I thought, for just a small school. Christine's really leading the way. She has over 300,000 questions answered in her grade level. I think that's really good. So we're working on attendance as well. We're still working on that Pittsburgh trip. That means that you have to have 90% attendance from November 1st until May 1st. I have a lot of students still eligible for that, so that's really good. COVID and flu took out a little bit of the kids, and then Mike is working with some attendance issues at the school with me. Other than that, we have about a 92% attendance rate, so we're still working really hard to shoot for that 94% goal. Hopefully we'll get it when the weather breaks a little bit. I have Mike, Tammy Gregory helping me. I have Elisa Gilkerson and Amber Lemon. They do phone calls for me along with Lisa, the secretary, after kids are absent for 2 days. I also do 3-day letters and 5-day letters. I really don't have a lot of attendance issues there, so I don't really worry about that much. Oh, stopped. Well, the last one is principal attendance, or principal presence in the classrooms. I go to classrooms pretty much every day, unless the secretary is absent and I have to stay in the office, then it kind of cuts my presence down a little bit. I still use Live School on IXL, so if the classroom is struggling, like for instance today I had 8 kids in one classroom struggling with math, so I went in and helped to enrich the teacher because you can only help one person at a time. So I helped in that classroom today. I think we have a really great group of teachers, and I just want to say that Teresa Dennison yesterday won Above and Beyond Award from PBIS. They came and recognized her yesterday. So that'll be on Class Dojo, and that will also be on our Facebook page tomorrow. That's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe if I can get over here, I'll let my phone. Forget it?
I'd like to ask you a question, Mr. Williams. I'm going to ask it from Mr.
Okay, Mr. Williams, while she's getting ready.
Are our social workers helping out with the attendance issues?
Yes, sir.
I mean, are they taking an active role in getting into homes?
Yes.
Very much so. They're going into homes, they're meeting with students, they're
meeting with parents, bringing parents in. They're taking a very active role, both elementary and secondary. And learning centers.
Ours, we have Christy Crowder as our social worker, and she's even helped with the letters and getting the absence notes in, and anytime I need her, even if she's at another school, if I need her, I can give her a call when she's ready. She'll call me back and say, hey, I'll take care of that. And then she calls and lets me know what's going on. So, yeah. I have been able to get in the classrooms a lot more. We've got some things in place now for some of our kids that need some extra help. And so I've been using the walkthrough app that the county created, and I've been trying to get about 4 or 5 walkthroughs in a week. And I'm out and out the building all the time, checking on the kids or checking on the teachers or doing little things like that. But we've had a lot better substitute rates, so we haven't been pulled as a substitute as much right now, so fingers crossed. Our attendance, you can see I've updated our attendance. We're falling off a little bit from last year. The flu, COVID, strep has just killed us this past couple of months. It's just really our kids we've got a lot of sickness going on, and they're just passing it back and forth. But our bell-to-bell, no tardies, no early outs, those are our numbers for each month. And then our 9 weeks is 2 or less excused absences. And then at the end of the year, we're going to do a trip to the exhibition coal mines for our faithful attendance.
That's the input button. Now hit Pro.
Okay.
Okay, now you're good.
No.
Now touch off of it. Maybe what does it say?
Touch the white.
That's the white one. There you go. Now you can sign it.
Now I can go. Our addressing areas, we know that are low, and it's still there. Geometry, measurement, and writing are our 2 areas of need. And we've really focused on geometry and measurement by getting into STEM labs, integrating it the entire year and not just right at the end where it's in the book, and really using small groups like time to integrate those geometries in there. Writing, they're talking about the writing during PLCs, which is, they do vertical PLCs once a month. Our 2nd and 4th grades doing writing by design, our 3rd and 5th grades jumping on board with writing by design. So, and we have seen a lot of improvement with our 4th grade in their writing with having it talks about the 6+1 traits of writing, and it gets them they understand each trait.
And did you see your manuals are in the hall?
Yeah. We do small groups, and we have those instructional aides, those COVID aides, and they work with our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade classrooms. They're mainly in 3rd grade because that's where our lowest group was, but they are able to work in 1st and 2nd grade too. Our interventionists are working through all grades with ELA and kindergarten, 4th, and 5th in math, and our special ed teachers and aides help too.
How many instructional aides do you have?
We have 2.
And how many interventions?
3.
Oh, let's say it's both COVID aids?
They're both COVID aides, yes.
So when does that go away?
They'll be here next year, and then the money goes.
One more year
At
after
the
this
end of
one?
next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
We're addressing the gaps in the diagnostic arena, and our on-grade level support is by working on those on-grade level things that the teachers are doing. This was our achievement in December, and this is where we are in February. So you can see how much we've grown just in a couple of months. And then this is our geometry snapshot from August, and this is the one we pulled, I think, last Friday. So we are getting more above grade levels kids, so they are making progress in geometry.
What grade levels?
It's all of them, K through 5. And then this is writing. And you have to have a 200 score in English before writing kicks on, so that's why some of them are on there. But our writing, if you notice, even kindergarten is starting to show up. So we're working. Any questions?
It looked like on your scale there for your geometry, particularly in math, looked like you made significant gains since August in the performing above.
And that was one of our, we know that is one of our weak areas, and we know that's something that the teachers just don't get to. So that last summer when we had our teacher academy, we made the plan. We've got to get that geometry in there the entire year. We just got to.
This, we have our scores that come in from the general summative assessment, given one time a year, and those may not be what we would like for them to be.
Right.
Okay, so the levels we'd like for them to be. My point is that these are summative type assessments because the IXL, it does match the standards of the particular level. And if kids are showing that they're performing on these, and then we see an end of the year test that shows that they aren't, I'm tending to put more value that we are getting to the kids and we are reaching them. They are doing better than perhaps what the summative assessment shows.
And we always tell them, we always try to get them hyped up for the summative assessment. Just do your best. Show us what you learned. This is what you learned. But it's one test, one day of their entire school year. And it is hard. I mean, it's something, if they're having a bad day or they're not feeling good, or if they missed it and they have to make it up. Sometimes that shows.
But that whole process is fraught with issues, particularly when you get more to the secondary level, because it doesn't have a consequence on the end of it, and I don't know that kids value it. I mean, to be honest, I just don't know that they value taking it because it's just a test.
Right.
And it doesn't have any consequences beyond. So that's just me thinking and talking out loud.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Are the tests that they take regularly similar to the one that they're going to take at the end?
It has a lot of the
You try
higher,
to keep that about the
it has a lot of higher level thinking, order skills, and they have to think through the problems and things, yeah.
You do that throughout the year and prep, okay.
Yep.
Jennifer, have you pulled your CIA for this year and compared it to last year's CIA yet?
No, I have not.
You need to do that. I started looking at that Monday.
I have started looking at, for the strategic plan, putting together a spreadsheet to try to see all of that stuff. And I've seen, I took especially my fifth grade, what they did in third, what they did in fourth to see. And most of them have grown. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The CIA is, that's something one in Washington.
While he's setting up. No, he's out.
I know that.
Thank you.
Speaking.
Thank you.
Just got done doing it. It's comprehensive. And it's computer adapted just like the EG textures.
So I was going to address that. You were talking about CIAs, and I've had to learn about that this year.
You can teach us back.
Well, maybe a little bit, not a lot. It reminds me of what I had to do when I lived in another state, and we would test throughout the year. And the one we just took was on level, meaning it's going to be similar to what they see at the end of the year, so it gave a better idea of where you're at. So there was good news with it. We saw some things we liked. And there was some bad news in that we saw our gaps, but that's helpful to be able to see that and say, okay, we have 2.5 months to go, and here's where we're lacking. Here's our students that are close to being mastery, here's the ones that are, and if they're already mastery now, of course you want to keep them there at the end of the year, but you see the ones that you can get your intervention to right now and try to bring up, so that's helpful. And I also noticed that I am not an expert at analysis, and I'm learning from both of these principals here tonight, and people that I reach out to when I have questions. They've been very helpful to me. They've been very helpful to me, and I appreciate that. But you're able also, if you look at the IXL, what I noticed a little bit I've looked at is there does seem to be a strong correlation, because it seems like one of the things you're trying to figure out is when you ask questions about the IXL, that there does seem to be a correlation, and they mentioned the questions they ask. Well, all those questions, you can have a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 questions. You can have anywhere from a very complicated question and design to very simple. And then they split them up throughout the test. And IXL also seems, I don't know how many level 4s I've seen, but it does seem to have different level questions as you go. So it is similar type questioning, and the CIA certainly is similar. So you're able to see at that point, and then contact parents with your CIA data and say, okay, who needs testing? And the other thing I wanted to address that you had asked, and then I'll get on with what I was going to say, because I've been told 5 minutes and I talked a lot. And that's why I don't have a presentation, because if I did, we'd be here until 11 and I'd be in trouble. You asked about the social workers, and yes, I have seen a positive impact with that. Our attendance, which is the first thing I was going to address, we have been 92.33 the last 2 months. I'm not making that up. Both months were the same thing. I've had someone else look at it, thinking I was misreading it. Same thing 2 months in a row. Our goal's 94, so we're not at our goal, but we have had a lot of sickness. But our attendance, our social worker has gone as far as to give a kid an alarm clock and tell them that they rolled enough, you can start getting yourself up, set it. And that kid's been making it to school on time. And I've talked to parents, we have kids that are habitually tardy, and absolutely, they have been able to help in that process. And I just wanted you to hear that from me as somebody who's out there, that has been very helpful in the process with attendance.
Very good.
Okay? Yes, sir.
Very good. You mentioned one thing a minute ago. There's a strong correlation, and you're talking about the strong correlations between the CIA assessment and what the IXL's doing. Is that correct? Is that what that was?
Similar type questions, and what I noticed, not only that, but yes, when you look at, when it tells you who's on level, who's almost on level, and who's far below level, they're lining up as similar. Were you seeing that too? They're seeing that also. So I think there's a correlation there.
CIA.
Do I think it's exact? Probably not, because there's always exceptions. But I think maybe some of the questions or doubts that people had about IXL at the beginning, I think it seems to me that it's helpful. And another thing I would mention is that if you have teachers that have mastered it, and teachers that are very efficient at using it, and I'm looking in the back room, she's not paying attention, maybe they could do PD for others. Because if they figured out how to use it effectively, then maybe next year in August, then those people could be contracted to maybe show some other teachers, hey, here's how I used it in my room, and here's how you can use it to get better. Any other questions? Or
No. CIA is a state test. Okay.
And most of what I was going to say, they've said, like similar type stuff, but I'll go on and I'll just tell you, I told you our attendance, and we are shifting from what we were going to do. We're going to have a monthly dance party with popcorn for those that, yes, and they go to the gym with Miss Gross, for those that hit their attendance rate, have perfect attendance. And we also weekly want to reward those that were there for the week with some extra recess time, extra activity time. Try to motivate them with something a little more, an extrinsic reward, okay? And I also would like to mention, when we talked about attendance, that I feel we're close to our goals, we're not there. And I want to blame sickness, but we'll see. We'll see if I can come back to you in May and tell you that we finally made it back to 94 where we want to be. I hope so. As far as what we're doing to increase attendance rate, same as what they said, of course, interventionists. And we also have the COVID aids that help. We are entering in a reading program. Our 3 to 5 is entering in a reading program with the library. And we're lucky that the Craigsville Library is basically across the parking lot from our school. And the library reached out to us. And those classes are going to go weekly library and get books. And they're going to give a pizza party to whoever, whichever class has the most books read. So I thought that was a neat idea and also an example of community collaboration. And if you can't read, you can't do well on the test. I don't care whether it's a math question or reading question. You guys know that if you've been in the classroom. So, but also we have Mr. Lynch, our test has been helping design some lessons and some small group stuff that not only uses IXL, but uses other specific examples to try to hit gaps that we're seeing. If he sees there's a gap in a certain place, and we know that we're weak on reading certain passages, or we know we're weak on transferring information, like with the science, 5th grade has to take science tests, then he's designing things they can do in the room that the kids can do using their iPads that will hit those things.
Who is this?
So that's helpful. Yes, sir.
Who's doing that?
Our TIS, Mr. Lynch, is
Jeff.
funded by Title I, yeah, Jeff Lynch, and he's in our room, so.
That's great.
I've name dropped a couple of people on staff so far, but, and we also have, well, I mentioned that, and she mentioned the STEM labs, we do that also, and those are focused around geometry and things of that nature that we know we're weak at. And also, I think all principals are using the new walkthrough. We're getting used to it. It's a little bit different than the old one. There's a lot of data points there, and there's a lot of data that can be collected from those. And then I guess in March we go active with those. Right now we're still kind of practicing. And I also try to get in the rooms as often as I can. I was in almost all of them today, and I not had a child that needed some intervention, I would have been in all of them, and we'll leave it at that. So, do you have any questions for me? Can't ask about trout today.
Oh, come on.
Stock trucks down.
We're good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have a, let's see. That was just discussion, never mind. Action items. Action item A, approval of rental agreement with Hope Gas Incorporated and Nicholas County Career and Technical Center for use of 3,000 square feet that will be used to store pipe and equipment.
Yeah, that agreement is in your board packet. I did review it. It looks pretty standard to me, pretty simple agreement.
Are they paying anything for that?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yes,
They are?
we just don't know what yet, but they are paying.
It's left blank.
My computer just froze up.
For the consideration of $1, and it's just left blank.
Yeah, I wasn't involved with this, so I don't know a lot of the details. I think this is something that Mr. Bayless worked out with Hope Gas. And they will be required to restore the land if they, you know, if you look down there at the bottom, it says grantee agrees to reclaim all disturbed lands to as near original condition as feasibly possible that existed prior to construction. The disturbed area will be fertilized, seeded, and mulched where applicable. Do you know anything about this, Alan?
I mean, I know a little bit. There's not a lot to tell. They had reached out, they have a project going on over there. They had reached out looking for just a small space to store some pipes and a little bit of gravel. I met with a guy representing from Hope and Mr. Bayless, and we found a spot that wouldn't be in the way of anybody. I don't know what the dollar amount that they want to pay for that is. That wasn't on the paperwork. I guess once or if this is approved, there'll be more information to come on that, more paperwork to do. But I think this is just the initial, just to see if we're willing to let them. I think it's a pretty short term. I don't know if that paper says or not. I want to say
Doesn't have a term on it.
It doesn't, but it does say temporary. And if you look at the paragraph there, the second from the bottom says that this is grantee further grants grantee the right to move equipment, personnel, materials for approximate 30 by 100, 3,000 square foot temporary workspace, more or less.
and think they're only planning on being in there for a few weeks. I don't think it's, the
Looks
guy
like
the
you're
guy
right.
we talked to, it seemed to be a really short-term deal.
Did they, Kevin, Chris, maybe Gus, did they give us issues over moving that gas line at Glade Creek? They took care of that?
It's been a process, it's pretty lengthy.
It's been a lengthy process, but that's just because they have to, like, they didn't allow contractors to install the gas line and stuff, they did it themselves. I mean,
Okay.
we dug the ditch and they installed the gas line.
So that's taken care of?
That's all moved and done.
Okay. I just thought we'd do a little trading.
Well, that's ran around the backside of the wall and it's
I got
all
you.
completed.
I just remember in the back of my head, we had those discussions. Okay.
Excuse me. Whenever the gentleman called, he said that the project's only supposed to last 4 to 6 weeks. That's weather permitting, and if it's approved tonight, he's gonna bring a check tomorrow. So, to like pick up the contract and so.
Well,
But
It's
he,
just,
like I
little-
said, he didn't give me a price.
It's just
I didn't
little-
ask.
that contract has to, it's got Dr. Tetrick's name on it.
Yeah, so if she's not here tomorrow, he'll have to wait. So.
Small area right to the street, isn't it? It's just between the greenhouse and the street.
Yeah, there's between the greenhouse and the street, there's a little gravel road.
Behind where the buses go.
Yeah, it's off from that. It won't block any buses, it won't block access to the greenhouse. It's really unused space.
To the street.
It won't interfere with the school.
Not at all, no. It's kind of down in the corner of the property.
Yeah, it's my understanding that he worked the details out with Mr. Bayless before this document was drafted.
Any questions? Discussion? Thank you. Well, that's the only action item. Action item A, do we have a motion to approve that action item?
I make that motion.
Mr. Berry makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consent items, finance.
I'm cold, if you'll excuse me.
I'll put on my mask.
First thing on finance is payment of current invoices. You don't care.
Don't breathe on me. I just got over one.
Oh, gosh. There are 3 places for signature as governor's, governor's signature. Didn't have very many checks this run in a short turnaround. We may need to cut some checks for utilities over the next few weeks before the next board meeting, which we'll get Dr. Tetrick to sign. And so we can get those paid without a late fee.
Kevin, there was one on the Huntington Public Capital Corporation, the energy services payment, $179,000. Is that what we do annually?
That's a semi-annual payment. Yes.
Semi-annual.
Any other questions on payment of current invoices?
I may have some next time. I haven't had this, for some reason that didn't come up today, and I didn't get a look at it.
Okay.
It'll be all right after I have a chance to look it over.
Those were pretty basic standard ones we have out every month this time. Nothing, We did have a couple payments, one for our energy program and one for our QZAP. But other than that, everything was pretty much normal.
Do you have a standard like timeline on people turning their mileage in? I know sometimes people turn in every month, and then sometimes there's a few that let it go for 2 or 3 months.
All right. We like to, I usually honor it if they turn it in this fiscal year, for this fiscal year, I would generally honor that. Most people do turn it in on a monthly basis, and some people turn it in on a school month, some people turn it in on a calendar month. We pretty much process it whenever we get it, so.
I just know it'd be, if I'm keeping up with the travel expense, month at a time. I mean, I would think after a while, I might, something may happen, I not turn that in, but.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we still require receipts for all of our expenditures, and they all have a request to travel that we go back and refer to.
Okay.
We try to check that out every time. Item 2 is the treasurer's report. I'd like to table that, if I may, till the next board meeting. I didn't have time to look at it again, so I'd like to look at that at the next.
Yeah, I remember you said you can put the FEMA
I
results on there.
do have a total for you, though. So believe it or not, I made a mistake. I know you're all shocked.
Say that again.
Somebody write this down.
You got that recorded?
It's on recording.
So Dr. Penny, can we table something twice?
That's a question. I don't know. You table it once. It has to come back at the very next meeting.
Wasn't there something said about that at our conference last?
I'm gonna get my Robert's rules for it.
I don't have a problem with it, I just don't, I want to make sure we don't ever.
Sure, absolutely.
Wasn't there a problem with
And I can go, no, there wasn't a problem with it, I just wanted to review it.
What you can do is, you can say it's on the agenda and you can discuss it, and then you can put the treasurer's report on the very next agenda. Just make it another agenda item next time. Just make it as a, you can say the treasurer's report's there, and well, no, we've got to vote on it though. So.
If you want to circle back around to me, I can go get it and get copies for you if you want, if it's an issue.
Why are you wanting us to table it?
Pardon?
Why do you want to table it?
I just wanted to review it a little bit closer. I was out of the office a couple weeks last week, and I was sick on Monday, and I just wanted to look at it again.
I loaded the one from the last time.
Oh, they have a copy of it?
They have a copy of this,
Oh, the one just the revenue side of it.
but I thought there was something missing.
Yeah, I can do whatever you all want to do.
If we can table it, I don't care to table it, I just want to.
Sure, absolutely.
Hey, Lauren.
While she's doing that, what's the balance?
All right, so the balance was, so last time when I gave you that balance, all I did was I took the December treasurer's report, and then there were some things we had out there, some contract amendments, change orders, and that new SQP contract. And so that stuff we hadn't entered into the system in December yet, so we entered it in January. So what I did when I was calculating the total, I took the December total on the treasurer's report, and then I subtracted out manually those things that I knew that was going to hit in January. Well, when we started doing our January stuff, I realized that some of the purchase order files are live files in Weebus, and so it goes out and it grabs that total no matter when you print the report. So not only did it grab it in December, even though I entered it in January, I subtracted it again manually because I thought it wouldn't pick it up until January. So essentially, I subtracted a couple things twice. So the good news is you have a little over $1 million more than what I told you a couple weeks ago.
96, 97.
$97,100,255.04.
And how much is it? Have we paid these guys for redoing these plans yet?
We have incurred some expense on some rework. That's not FEMA, it's not deductible from FEMA, so it just comes out of county funds.
That has to be paid for by county fund. How much is it? How much is the cost to have those plans revised to the new standards and then resubmitted?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look it up for you for next time. I know we've paid several invoices already, probably several months of invoices for it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I'll get it for you next time.
Okay, thank you.
If we'll just skip one while she's getting us an answer on that. The budget is just the West Virginia Extension Office 4-H program. They have $30,000 in the excess levy, and we are required to give that to them as part of the excess levy call. So they've requested their budget, and I have completed our end of it and just asked you guys for approval of that officially.
Now, what's that going to again?
It's the West Virginia Extension Office, basically a 4-H program in Phoenix County. Or the West Virginia Extension.
Yeah, they have
Office.
some other programs in the schools too.
But this is excess levy.
What Russia
That's
Butcher
4-H
used to
is the
do.
biggest
all the time.
project.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And then item B, some out-of-state travel. A few people from the Career Center on March 3rd. And Dr. Lee, Mrs. Buffman, in March 21st and 22nd.
What if we need her?
It's a Wednesday, you won't need me then.
Okay, I see it.
All right, do you approve his treasurer's report, or is it just something that you receive?
We approve it.
Well, what 17.9, Rule 17.9 of Robert's Rule says, is it 17.9? Oh, I may have lost my place. Hang on. Oh. My page is slipped, now I gotta find it again.
Kevin, while she's looking for that photo, you just received this property assessments.
I did.
Today. So the purpose for us to not recess this evening's meeting is to approve those and on the second Tuesday in April. Is that correct? I mean,
Yes, sometime between today and March the 28th, I'm supposed to bring to you the proposed levy rates for the upcoming school year, which will catch that on the next board meeting. And then you'll recess that meeting until the third Tuesday in April, at which time you'll approve the levy rates.
So we just need to adjourn this.
We will adjourn this.
Yes, you will adjourn this meeting.
Okay, it is Rule 17A. It says a question that's been laid on the table remains there and can be taken from the table during the same session, or if the next regular business session will be held before a quarterly time interval has elapsed, also until the end of the next regular session. If not taken from the table within these time limits, the question dies, although it can be reintroduced later as a new question. So, I mean,
It's okay.
it's okay.
Okay. Just making sure.
Absolutely. So I'll bring that to you. Probably by then I'll have January's as well, or February's as well. So we'll just bring them both at the same time.
Okay, so
We won't approve the treasurer's report.
we're going to table the treasurer's report.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions, Mr. Hess?
I have
Okay,
a question for you, I guess. Now, on this extension vote, deputy
Right,
extension,
I've got it.
I voted on that once already and signed it. So do you vote again? I think I always have,
Yeah, you have.
so, okay.
Okay, so speaking of that budget, I will not be voting on that because my sister's on that same. So let's take care of finance, payment of current invoices, if we'd have a motion on that.
Well, you could do that, and B, the out-of-state travel.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Why don't you do those two together?
Thank you, yeah. So we'll do finance 1, payment of current invoices, and the out-of-state rental travel request 1 and 2.
So moved.
So Dr. Penix makes that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion unanimous. So then we need a motion to accept number 3 under finance budget, and that's the budget for the West Virginia Extension Service, and that's levy funds.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
So Mr. Moose makes a motion, second by Dr. Penix. And so you folks are in agreement?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. 4 and I stayed out. Okay. Personnel.
Yes, the updated personnel agenda has been loaded into your packets. An updated copies have been made available to the press and to the public. The changes in your copy are read. I will read them though. Under service, this is on page 1. Caitlin Cochran, employee in the position of custodian 3 at Richwood High School, effective upon the hire of her replacement. Wandeling, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Okay,
You're just a little fast on the draw there, but we're okay.
sorry.
Well,
You ready now?
yeah, yes, thank you.
Okay, Caitlin Cochran, employee in the position of custodian 3 at Richwood High School, effective upon hire of her replacement. Wandeline Komorowski, employee in the position of halftime cook for Summersville Elementary School, effective upon the hire of her replacement. Logan Bailey, employee in the position of bus operator for Bus 117, effective March 6, 2023. Brian Kuiper, employee in the position of assistant baseball coach for Nicholas County High School, effective upon completion of any applicable WVSSAC, WVDE requirements. Shanna L. Mullins, employee in the position of head track coach for Richwood Middle School, effective upon any completion of any applicable WVSSAC, WVDE requirements. Under consent, Tammy Groves resigns her position as tutor at Summersville Elementary School, effective February 28, 2023. Kathy Barnett resigns her position as teacher at Cherry River Elementary School, effective June 30th, 2023, due to retirement. Patricia Ellswick resigns her position as teacher at Mount Lookout Elementary School, effective July 31st, 2023, due to retirement. Mike McKinney resigns his position as teacher at Nicholas County Career and Technical Center, effective upon hire of his replacement. Carla Starcher resigns her position as teacher at Zila Elementary School, effective June 10th, 2023, due to retirement. Permission to post and hire one-on-one LPN transportation instruction aide for student currently enrolled at Zila Elementary, and also we added additional names as approval for volunteers for Nicholas County Schools: Arthur Rogers, Jason Rogers, Melissa Rogers, and Susan Rogers. And I did not prepare an updated vacancy list because we didn't hire any professional people tonight, so I will have an updated list for you though on the 20th.
So these folks that notified us that they're retiring, do we have to vote on they get extra money for that?
We don't vote on that, you just accept
I
their,
got you.
you accept this and then we submit it to the state and the state actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Green makes a motion.
I'll second.
Dr. Penix seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Superintendent's information, construction planning, architectural update.
I don't have anything from her relating to construction. I do have Matt Field Day updates that you may be interested in.
Yeah, give us those math field day updates.
We had Regional Math Field Day today, and we hosted at Nicholas County High School, and we walked away with a sweep in 4th grade. Students from Nicholas County got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. From 5th grade, we walked away with 1st alternate. From 6th grade, we got 2nd alternate and a 3rd place. 7th grade, we got a 2nd alternate, and from 8th grade, we got a 2nd place participant. And of course, the ones that got the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd will be eligible to participate in State Math Field Day, which is at Shepherd this year.
8th was what place?
2nd.
Is it, the region still the 6 counties?
Mhm.
Okay. That's good.
The competition was among the 6 counties.
Right. A little recent. Okay. Reports, Dr. Penix, SESC.
I was unable to make the meeting this past month, but I will get the one this month. And so
Okay, thank you. Bright Horizons, Mr. Green.
We had a meeting last Thursday. Everything's going well. Our student from Richmond High School is doing very well. They really like the student there. We'd like to have a few more if we can find them.
Okay, delegations, we took care of delegations. Items for future agendas, anybody?
Or will that include looking at this cell phone that I have to be?
If you want that on as a discussion item? Cell phone policy.
I think it would be.
Dr. Penix, is that what you're saying?
Oh, I agree with him. I think, the parent raised some legitimate concerns there, about, at the end of the day, should the child receive the phone to go home? Because most homes do not have landlines anymore. So, I think we need to look into that and just kind of review that policy. Ms. Atkins, can you walk us through that?
Sure, absolutely.
So that's a county policy, correct?
That is a county policy.
And one of those is what we're reading here, is it an extension at the school of this policy? I mean, beyond this policy, or is this actually in the policy? If it is, we need to change the policy.
Actually, I kind of skimmed over it. The policy doesn't say that we will we do say that we keep the phone until the parent can pick it up. But I'll just read to you, it says, if the PCD, that's personal communication device, is confiscated, it may be released, returned to the student's parent or guardians after the student complies with any other disciplinary consequences that are imposed, unless the violation involves potentially illegal activity, in which case the PCD may be turned over to law enforcement. I don't know that we have the legal authority to keep someone else's property overnight. That would be a concern that I would have.
So, that said, again, it said that we can't, read it again, it said we can release it to the student.
We can release it to the parent. It says it may be released to the parent after the student complies with any other disciplinary consequences that are imposed. Unless, of course, it's illegal activity, in which case law enforcement may take it, but that's law enforcement, not us. So, I think it's legitimate to say we're going to give it back to the parent, but we may need to develop some sort of guidelines as to when that's going to happen, and particularly when kids are getting on a bus to go home. I haven't had a landline in my house since 2007. My kids were in middle school. They come home by themselves. They had cell phones, and that was their, in my opinion, as a lifeline. And I think she did raise some legitimate concerns, even from my perspective as your attorney, that concern me about in terms of your liability. If we keep a student's phone and then, God forbid something happened, because they didn't have that phone to be able to dial 911 or seek other help, we could potentially be held liable for that. Not to mention, it's not our property. I think we've got the legal right to confiscate it during the school day, but I don't think we have a right to keep that beyond that school day. I think it would be iffy.
I think it becomes a health and safety issue.
Well, and not only that, cell phones are expensive, they're upwards of $1,000, and, that's also a liability. If we're keeping multiple devices that are worth thousands of dollars, somebody breaks into a school and steals them, guess what? We're responsible to replace all of those devices.
Well, I certainly understand why teachers, take them.
Absolutely.
If they're trying to teach a class and they've got them out, I understand that, but, so we will we'll put that on the agenda
As discussion.
as discussion. Anything else? Future meeting dates, regular meeting, Monday, March 20th, right here at the central office, 6 o'clock. April 3rd, central office, 6 o'clock. As per West Virginia code, the next meeting in April will be on a Tuesday, April 18th, at 6 o'clock. And then in May, May 1st and May 15th at 6 o'clock at the central office. Anything else? Boy, Dr. Lee, I tell you, we may have to have you. Don't tell Dr. Tetrick that we're getting out of here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Dr. Bennings makes a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. Everyone in favor? Aye. At 7:08.